All right, let's be real for a second. You know that feeling, right? You spend days locked in your room, studying, grinding, sacrificing your entire social life, only to get the exact same grade as that one friend who just kind of breezed in and crammed a night before. It is so frustrating. You see them out there, living their life, and you're just left wondering, what is their secret? Well, let's get into it because I'm going to tell you right now, the problem isn't you, it's your method.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? Why is it that you can just completely lose yourself, zombie scrolling through social media for 3 hours straight, but the second you crack open a textbook, your brain just hits a brick wall? It feels like this epic battle of willpower, but it's not. It's actually a battle of brain chemistry. And honestly, it's a battle you've been set up to lose from the start. Well, until now.
So here's the secret sauce behind all of this. It all comes down to one little chemical in your brain, dopamine. See, social media is basically a dopamine slot machine. It's perfectly engineered to give you a huge, constant, super low-effort hit of it with every single swipe. Studying, well, that's the opposite. It takes a ton of effort for a reward that feels like it's months away. Your brain has literally been hijacked by instant gratification, and that makes deep, focused work feel next to impossible.
But don't worry, we are absolutely gonna fix that. Today, we're going through a complete system to help you take back control. First, we'll look at the trap itself. Then we'll actually rewire your brain for focus. After that, it's time to master the game with some killer techniques. We'll optimize your whole system for success, and finally, we'll figure out your next move.
Okay, first things first, let's get something straight. This is not about you lacking discipline or being lazy. Your brain isn't broken, not at all. It's actually working perfectly, doing exactly what it's been trained to do, chase the easiest, fastest rewards it can find. The thing is, we're playing a game against a system that has been designed from the ground up to keep us hooked on constant distraction.
So to win this game, you gotta know the rules. And the main rule is dopamine. Think of it as that feel-good chemical. Your brain is basically a heat-seeking missile for it. The moment you really get that your brain is always on the hunt for these little hits of pleasure, that's when you can start to intentionally take the steering wheel and decide where you're gonna get them from.
All right, so how do we actually start to fix this? Well, before we jump into all the cool study hacks and techniques, we have to fix the root of the problem. We can't just slap a Band-Aid on this. We have to literally reset our brain's reward system so that doing hard things, like studying, doesn't feel like climbing Mount Everest. This part right here, this is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
The strategy here has 2 parts. First up, a mini dopamine detox. Yeah, I know, but it's just 15 minutes a day of actual, genuine boredom. I'm talking stare at a wall, walk around with no music, no podcasts, nothing. And look, it's gonna feel like torture at first, but what it does is it lowers your brain's baseline for stimulation. Suddenly, less intense things, like reading a book, start to feel interesting again. Step 2, you have to start engineering your study sessions to give you little dopamine hits. Break your work down into tiny, bite-sized pieces, and every time you finish one, give yourself a physical check mark on a piece of paper. That simple little action, that's a tiny reward that starts training your brain to connect studying with a feeling of accomplishment.
And this leads us right into another secret weapon for making studying feel way less daunting. It's called Parkinson's Law. Here's the deal. Work expands to fill the time you give it. So if you tell yourself, okay, I've got all day Saturday to read this one chapter, guess what? It's gonna take you all day Saturday. Your brain sees that huge timeline and feels zero urgency. But if you say, I have exactly 90 minutes to get this done, boom, you've created pressure, you've created urgency, and you force your brain to get laser focused.
Okay, the last piece of this whole rewiring your brain puzzle is your mindset, your self-belief. And this might sound a little bit silly, but you have to kind of trick yourself. You have to convince yourself that any subject is doable, that the material is actually kind of fascinating, and that you are in fact an academic weapon. Seriously, if you tell your brain that a task is going to be quick and easy, it genuinely performs better. Your beliefs create your reality way more than you think.
All right, so our brains are primed, they're ready for focus. Now it's time for the really fun part. It's time to get into the actual techniques, the cheat codes, if you will, that top-tier students use to learn way faster and remember more, all while studying less. Yes, really.
First things first, you have to meet your arch nemesis, the forgetting curve. See, your brain is actually designed to forget things super quickly. It's a way of making room for new, important stuff. And this is why you can have a marathon study session, feel like you totally nailed it, and then sit down for the exam a week later and just a complete and total blank. It's a feature of your brain, not a bug, but it's one we have to learn to outsmart. And just look at these numbers. They're insane. This chart shows you just how brutal this curve really is. In just one day, you can forget up to 70% of what you learned. After a single week, it's basically all gone, like 90%. If this isn't concrete proof that cramming is the absolute worst, most inefficient way to study, I don't know what is.
So how do we fight back? How do we beat the curve? With a powerful 1-2 punch: active recall and spaced repetition. These are two of the most scientifically proven methods out there. Spaced repetition is just what it sounds like. You review information at spaced out intervals. So you review it today, then maybe in 3 days, then in a week. Active recall is the real game changer though. It's about forcing your brain to pull information out of your memory, not just passively shove it in by rereading your notes.
And here are the best ways to actually do active recall. First up, the blurting method. It's so simple, but so powerful. After you study a topic, you just grab a blank sheet of paper and write down or blurt out everything you can possibly remember. The gaps in what you know will become painfully obvious, which is exactly what you want. Or you could try the Feynman technique. Try to explain the topic to a 5-year-old. If you can't explain it simply, you don't really get it yet. And of course, the classics. Practice tests and redoing homework problems you got wrong. That's pure, uncut active recall right there.
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The goal here isn't just to memorize a bunch of facts to spit back out on a test. The goal is true understanding. And forcing yourself to take a complicated idea and make it simple, that is one of the single best ways to test if you actually know your stuff.
Okay, our next cheat code is all about being ruthlessly efficient. You have to stop trying to learn 100% of the material with equal effort. It's just not smart. This is where the 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto principle, comes in. Basically, it says that for most things in life, 80% of the results come from just 20% of the effort. And when it comes to studying, this means that the vast majority of your grade is going to come from a tiny, focused sliver of the key topics.
So your job, your mission, is to become a detective and figure out what that critical 20% is. How do you do that? Look at old exams. Pay super close attention to the ideas your professor brings up again and again and again in lectures. Find that golden 20%. Focus 80% of your energy there, and I promise you, you will be studying smarter, not harder. Okay, so we have all these amazing techniques, but we need to talk about the foundation that holds it all up. Because you can have the sharpest tools in the shed, but they're useless if the rest of your system is falling apart. I'm talking about your environment, your sleep, your nutrition. These are not optional nice-to-haves. They are absolutely fundamental to learning effectively.
You know, here's a wild fact. Your brain doesn't actually store memories while you're studying. It does that while you sleep. Sleep is when your brain goes to work consolidating everything you learned. So when you pull an all-nighter, you are literally hitting the delete button on all your hard work. It's crazy. Same goes for food. Ditch the sugary snacks that just lead to an energy crash and go for actual brain-boosting foods. And hey, even just a short walk can give your memory a huge leg up. Seriously, think of this stuff as free brain upgrades.
And finally, you have to be intentional about designing your study environment for success. First, find your genius time. We all have that 2 or 3 hour window in the day where we're just naturally more focused. Find yours and then protect it like a dragon guarding its treasure. That means your phone, it has to be in another room. No excuses. And you know, total silence can actually be distracting for some people, so maybe try out brown noise or binaural beats to help you stay locked in. And look, group study has its place, but for that real, deep, focused work, you should be studying alone 95% of the time. Okay, deep breath. We have covered a ton of ground, but I want to be really clear. This isn't just a random list of tips and tricks. What we've just walked through is a complete, interlocking system designed to help you become the exact student you've always wanted to be. When you boil it all down, it's really a 3-part system. Part 1, rewire your brain. That means you master your dopamine and you get your mindset right. Part 2, master the game. This is where you use those proven cheat codes like active recall and the 80-20 rule. And Part 3, optimize your system. You support your brain with the right lifestyle, sleep, food, and your environment.
And if you remember only one thing from all of this, let it be this: nobody is born a good student. It's not some innate talent you either have or you don't. Effective studying is a skill. It's a system that you can learn, that you can practice, and that you can absolutely master. You are 100% in control of your academic future.
So I'll leave you with a question. What's the first cheat code you're going to activate? What's the first piece of this system you're going to put into practice, like today? Are you going to try the blurting method tomorrow morning? Are you going to schedule that 15-minute dopamine detox right now? Maybe just figure out your genius time. Just pick one. Start small, start today, and begin that transformation.